As you can see, I've done another build of Weather Factory Meltdown here. Fire up the editor, load up escape, and as you can see right now, the background is completely blue. So I fixed that bug, and I also made the export import palette/view button just a little bit more obvious as to what it does. As you can see, I still haven't done much along the lines of actually drawing a background for this. I don't want it to be blue in the end. I'll add that in a different part. Right now what I'd like to talk about is actually items. On the widgets, items, and doors layer, there are two items here. There's the heart, which simply restores one life unit. There's the checkpoint flag, which, as the name implies, you grab it. If you die later on, you'll respawn here. Of course, one thing to keep in mind, you don't want to respawn right on top of an enemy, because when you respawn, the enemies will also respawn. So I'm going to take this flag, since I made enemies visible here with this little control. I'm going to take this flag, I'm going to drag it down here, where I'm not in any danger of enemies. Of course, rarity makes these hearts spawn too. They're the exact same types of hearts as you get when you're drawing them here. There's no way to tell a heart you need to restore 2 or 3 points of health instead of just 1. You can pretty much paint these items however you like. That's pretty much it. Another thing which I'd like to show you guys is widgets. This is the dialog that we use to create anything that has more than one frame in it. So I'll just click 4 frames. Pressing enter won't do anything now. What you have to do is click change frame count after you've entered something in here. Please enter a number. It saw 4 and a little return, so it saw 4 and a carriage return, so it said that's not a number. So you want to type just the number in here, nothing else, no spaces or carriage returns or anything like that. Click change frame count, and voila. The list of frames is right here. So what I'm going to do is actually create a gear. A gear is the first animated thing, a spinning gear is the first animated thing which I actually animated. Let's see, I believe it will be gear, yes. I have gear 1 through gear 4 here. Gear. Set the background color. I want white to be the transparent color, and I clicked used for all images. That causes it to apply to all the frames at once. So you go here. Scroll down to gear 2. And as you can see, the white on this has turned completely transparent. Another thing worth stating, you can change the backdrop here. It can be black and white, it can be silver and white. Silver and white is the default. There's red and cyan. Not sure how well that shows up. That shows up well. There's yellow and blue, green and magenta. Then there's solid white, solid black, solid red, solid yellow, lime, cyan, blue, magenta. Anyways, I'll just set it back to the default silver and white. Now I'll get the other 2 frames here. Gear 3. And gear 4. If you want to see what it looks like, just click preview here, and it shows you the spinning gear. So click OK, scroll over to the right, and voila, there's your gears. I'll spin in the same direction. And let's just say that I've got some coordination of gears which I really like. Let's say that I like having these gears right next to each other, and I want more of these. I don't actually have a copy-paste feature. Your first instinct will be Control-C, Control-V, but that won't do anything. Instead, what you want to do is click this button. This is the Duplicate button. Recreates the same widgets, moves them a little bit to the side. So that's the Duplicate button right there. Another thing which is important to keep in mind is that in terms of layering, the widgets are drawn on top of the static blocks. So if I do this, then the player will be in front of these spinning gears and will also be standing on top of these platforms here. So it's not going to look good. So try to avoid putting these gears on top of static blocks unless you're really aiming for some weird psychedelic effect like that. Also, if you're not actually putting it on the part of the static block that the player is going to be walking on, like this gear right here overlaps with this block but doesn't overlap with the actual top of the block where the player will be walking, that should be okay too. So that's widgets. Sometimes it can be hard to select the thing you want. Maybe that's something I'll have to think about later. Anyways, if you've decided that you want to change a widget, like let's say that I wanted to reverse these gears, all of them, then I would click this one, this pencil and paper on top of a gear. That is the Edit Widget button. Right now the gear is going clockwise. If I want it to go counterclockwise, what I'd have to do is reverse the order of the frames. And that can be done by clicking these Move Image Up and Move Image Down buttons. Then hit Preview, and as you can see, it's turning the other way now. Click OK, and that applies to all the widgets. Now let's say that I have a whole lot more than just 4 frames in a given widget. Well, there's a solution for that. You can select multiple files here. When you select multiple files, it brings up this load dialog, which allows you to select multiple files at the same time. I think what I'm going to do is use the flywheel, which is in the engine room of the Weather Factory. Let's see if I can find it back. Okay, there's flywheel R here. And I'm just going to scroll to the end of the flywheel animation here. Hold down Shift, click. This is selecting tons and tons of frames. Click Open. This will clear out everything and replace it with the files that you've loaded. Continue. Yes. Let's hit Preview here. And as you can see, this is the giant flywheel from the engine room. Of course, we want it to have all that white become transparent, so I hit Select Background Color, Use for All Images, White. OK. Preview. And voila. Hit OK. And this is not going to be a permanent fixture in the corridor room. It's bigger than the actual corridor is high. It goes right in front of these, and that's going to look ugly. But for demonstration, I will put it in here anyway and play through the level so that you can see what it looks like. Oh, before I save it, one last thing. See this little checkbox down here for rain? You probably saw in previous playthroughs that it wasn't actually raining. This controls whether it rains in a given level or not. Now, there's no way to say, okay, make it rain in this particular room, make it not rain in this other room, and there's also no way of saying, make it rain in this part of the room, but don't let it rain in this other part. Those are features which I just plain haven't added yet. This is kind of a proof of concept. So I save Escape. Yes, replace it. Exit. Bring this up again. Go to the game. Takes a little while. I wish I could set it up so that it didn't take so long to load. Okay, so load up, escape, and as you can see, it is pouring like a banshee in here. So, hit enter, walk up, get damaged again, boom. Now I'll be able to benefit from the actual hearts. See here, life, and her health went up a little. And you can see the gears are turning counterclockwise. Life. Life. Fills her up there. Just get Rainbow Dash, take some damage here. Boom, boom. Switch to rarity. And I probably covered this in the tutorial for the actual game, but rarity's bullets actually turn into hearts. Or I'd say they turn enemies into hearts. What I like about Fluttershy is she can clear out a room really fast. I designed her that way. As you can see, the enemies are in front of this thing. Fluttershy's in front of it. She's standing on these static blocks here. The spokes of this flywheel are going behind her, but in front of the static blocks, and really, they should be on the same level as the static blocks. I mean, if they go in front of the static blocks, they should go in front of Fluttershy. If Fluttershy's in front of this, so should the static blocks be. You get the idea. I guess the bottom line is there's plenty of room for improvement when it comes to background elements and foreground elements, and that's one of the things which I plan to address as future development. But anyways, that covers widgets, that covers the rain, and that covers placing items. So yeah,